Welcome to the 17th episode of Let's Conquer Books. Barbara Tuchman said, "Books are the carriers of civilization. Without books, history is silent, literature dumb, science crippled, thought and speculation at a standstill." In this episode, I talk about how audiobooks will help you read more books by being able to increase the narrator speed, be able to listen, stop, and then pick up where you left off, and lastly, make it easier to read larger books. So let's get into it. This is your host, Alexander the Great Reader, and this is a place where we read, study lessons, and build our inner power because we know that the next level doesn't tolerate cowards. Now, I'm going to start with the negatives of audiobooks that I had. And I always thought it's not the same as reading physical books. It's not the same feeling, that you're grabbing the physical book and you're showing people that you're reading books. You don't show them pictures of audiobooks and things like that on your phone. And I always felt that I'm not really reading. I'm listening. So I can't say that I'm reading books. I'm listening to books. Another issue I had is that you can't even highlight or take notes because you're listening. And I guess you kind of do it. I see on the apps I use you can, but it just looks time consuming. But then I thought, I don't do it anyways. I don't take notes and highlight. There's a lot of people who do that. And I appreciate their services and I benefit from the services of people who summarize and highlight and do quotes. And I always thought, when you're reading, you can't be doing other things. You need to sit down and concentrate. But then I thought, you know what? I listen to a lot of podcasts and I always do things while listening to them and I get a lot from the podcasts. My mind wanders away into other thoughts while I'm listening to podcasts, and it does the same reading books. Sometimes I'm reading a book and I'm catch myself thinking about something else. I'm like, let me get back to this book. So those were the negatives coming in, and I said, you know what? Forget all this. Let's just start listening to audiobooks. And these are the three advantages I see about audiobooks so far. The first advantage is the narrator speed. And what this is there's a button that you can make the speed of the one reading the book, the narrator, faster or slower. Now, I found out about this actually at my university, UCF, where the professors asked the audience in the lecture hall that who, listens to the lecture faster, who increases that narrator speed. And I was like, you can do that? And now I watch my lectures at 1.5, sometimes 2 times faster than normal. Just you get through faster the lecture. And you could do the same with audiobooks. So I usually listen at 1.5 speed. And it'll turn a 13-hour book into a 10 or 9-hour book. So you're kind of hacking the way you're reading books because there's a lot of in between areas that is just pause. The narrator's not speaking as fast. So that's the first advantage. And what impacted me more about that is there's a guy called Tom Bilyeu of Impact Theory. That's the name of his podcast. And he's also the founder of Quest Nutrition. And I love his Quest bars. And he does a commercial for Audible and he says, this is the only way I read books. And he feels like he's being jacked into the Matrix. In the Matrix where he connects and then he's like, I know Kung Fu. They're just that's how audiobooks are. It's kind of, he's explaining it correctly because I feel like I'm reading more because of audiobooks because of the speed and it's just joo going into my brain. Now, the second advantage I have found is that you can listen, stop, and pick up where you left off. That's amazing. And that's I kind of do that with a book because I'm always carrying books and stopping and reading. So I kind of have a routine now with my audiobook. So in the morning, I wake up, grab my phone and start the book, go walk my dog. I take a shower, I get dressed, say hi to my kids, my wife, and then put my headphones back on, make the breakfast. And then while I'm driving back home from dropping off my son Josiah from work, I'm listening. So in the afternoon, I walk the dog again, but I have my headphones on listening to the audiobook. While I'm doing chores around the house, making lunch, when I walk to the bus stop to pick up my daughter, Sophia, when I'm driving around, all this time adds up. Maybe you get 2-3 hours in the evening while I'm, cleaning dishes, or walking to the library to go study, walking the dog again. At the end of the night, I like to play a little Tetris, and I'll listen to an audiobook while playing Tetris. So it all adds up. To me, it's like I physically read about an hour a day, hour and a half physical books, but I'm adding about 2-3 hours of audiobooks. So you're kind of hacking. That's how you're reading a lot. It's become easier actually now to read 100 books. The third advantage is it's easier to read bigger books. Now, big books to me, anything from like 350 pages over, to me right now where I'm at reading is just difficult. I stay away. Anything between 250 and down is attractive to me because it's something I can do easily and, to be honest, keep adding up, get to that 100 book list. But with audiobooks, it kind of changes that. And that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, you know what? If I can listen to 2 very big books that I've been wanting to read physically, but I do it in audio form, that'll be 24 a year. And, I start chipping away at that list of big books that I want to read. And the first one I did was Elon Musk biography by Ashley Vance. That thing is 400 pages. To me, that's a lot and always discouraged me, but it was so good. An audio version, it was so good too. I don't know. I've never read it physically, but man, it was a good book. Oh my God. I learned so much from that book. Another one is I'm a Nike head. I love Nikes. And I've always wanted to read Shoe Dog, which was the story of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. Man, what a book. 380 pages. I always stayed away from it. It's like one day. Audiobooks allowed me to read that book. And it was so amazing how the company came to fruition, all he had to go through. Man, Phil Knight's the man. Another one I wanted to read was that Bill Gates said, this is one of the best books ever written. So I was like, all right. But it's 576 pages. But now that I was reading or listening to audiobooks, I said, you know what, let's listen to it. It was like 19 hours, but I got through it. It took me like a week. It was a really good book, actually. A lot of positivity. I'm actually thinking about doing a podcast about positive books. And then the last one is this guy called Nassim Taleb. I've been really getting into him. I read his book, Skin in the Game. I listened to that one, actually, and I liked him. I was like, man, this guy, he's not politically correct, but I like what he's saying. So I listened to Anti-Fragile, which was 426 pages. Another good book. Now I want to do like a little series on Nassim Taleb, and I think he's an important author. And I want to encourage others to read or listen to his books. So there you have it. My 3 advantages of audiobooks. Hope you get into them, overcome any negative thoughts like I had, so you can start getting into it. And I've already mentioned that Overdrive is a library app that gives them for free. Hoopla is another one that gives them for free. So you can continue to listen to audiobooks for free. I want to thank all my listeners. I have over 500 plays and downloads. Amazing. I can't believe this, that you guys are joining me on this journey of me reading more books. My reading challenge right now is at 51 books out of 100. Connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We can talk about books, hacks, and all kinds of things. All the links are in the description. So, catch you on the next one. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Anchor, or any other podcasting platform so you don't miss the next episode where I will talk about the Lindy effect. why you should read books written a long time ago.